Hey everyone, it's ZLR here, and today I am doing my divisional round recap for the NFL. And we had a pretty good amount of games that were actually pretty close. We had the Chiefs win up against the Texans 23-14. The Commanders won 45-31. The Eagles won 28-22 and the Bills won 27-25. So at least at least half of the games were only like practically one score down. Um, we're gonna we're gonna start with the Texans and the Chiefs, where obviously I just said that they won 23-14. We had C.J. Stroud complete 19 passes out of 28 attempts for 245 yards. Joe Mixon had 18 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. C.J. Stroud had 6 carries for 42 yards. Damian Pierce had ooh, 4 carries for 10 yards, and Dare Ungumbale had 1 carry for 9 yards. Nico Collins had 5 receptions for 81 yards. Dalton Schultz had 4 receptions for 63 yards. Uh, Xavier Hutchinson had 4 receptions for 52 yards. We had John Mechie with 2 receptions, 35 yards. Joe Mixon, 2 receptions for 12 yards. We had Herb Smith with 1 reception for 2 yards, and Dare Ungambale with 1 reception but didn't get anything out of it. For the Chiefs side of things, we had Patrick Mahomes complete 16 passes out of 25 attempts, 177 yards and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt had 8 carries, 44 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Pacheco had 5 carries for 18 yards. Patrick Mahomes had 7 carries for 14 yards. And Xavier Worthy had 1 carry for negative 8 yards. And Matt Areza Matt Areza, I believe his name is. He had 1 carry for negative 18 yards. Jeez, that was not a good play by that guy. Travis Kelsey had 7 receptions, 117 yards, and a touchdown, and a really awesome catch, to be completely honest. Xavier Worthy had 5 receptions for 45 yards. Noah Gray had 3 receptions for 13 yards. And Kareem Hunt had 1 reception for 2 yards. Then we had the Commanders and the Lions. And obviously, I already said the score of that at the beginning of the video. So let's just go over all of these players. As we had Jaden Daniels complete 22 passes out of 31 attempts, 299 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Brian Robinson had 15 carries, 77 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels had 16 carries for 51 yards. Austin Eckler had 6 carries for 47 yards. Jeremy McNichols had 4 carries, 8 yards, and a touchdown. And Marcus Mariota had 1 carry, negative 1 yard. We had Diami Brown with 6 receptions, 98 yards. Scary Terry with 4 receptions, 87 yards, and a touchdown. Austin Eckler had 4 receptions for 41 yards. Zach Ertz had 5 receptions, 28 yards, and a touchdown. Jamison Crowder had 2 receptions for 25 yards. And John Bates had 1 reception for 20 yards. For the Lions side of things, my God, hello there. We had Jared Goff complete 23 passes out of 40 attempts, 313 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. David Montgomery had 1 completion out of 1 attempt for 20 yards. Teddy Bridgewater had 1 completion out of 1 attempt for 3 yards. And Jameson Williams had 1 attempt at passing, but got a interception. I think that was the if I believe it was the uh pitch or whatever that got intercepted. Um Jameer Gibbs had 14 carries, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jameson Williams had one carry for 61 yards and a touchdown, and one of the best celebrations ever to be seen as he literally air fucked the field. I have a video on that actually. Um, David Montgomery had 7 carries for 28 yards, and Jared Goff had 1 carry for 7 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 8 receptions, 137 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 6 receptions for 70 yards. Sam Laporta had 6 receptions, 51 yards, and a touchdown. Khalif Raymond had 3 receptions for 37 yards. Tim Patrick had 1 reception for 22 yards. And Jameson Williams had 1 reception for 19 yards. Sorry about that noise out in the background. We had a lot of snow. Then we had the Eagles and the Rams game. We had Matthew Stafford complete 26 passes out of 44 attempts, 324 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Kyren Williams had 19 carries for 106 yards. Matthew Stafford had 2 carries for 5 yards. Puka Nacua had 6 receptions for 97 yards. Demarcus Robinson had 3 receptions for 74 yards. Cooper Kupp had 5 receptions for 61 yards. Tyler Higbee had 7 receptions, 54 yards, and a touchdown. Tutu Atwell had 1 reception for 18 yards. Jordan Whittington had 1 reception for 12 yards. Colby Parkinson had 2 receptions, 9 yards, and a touchdown. And Kyren Williams had 1 reception for -1 yard. And for the Eagles side of things, we had Jalen Hurts complete 15 passes out of 20 attempts, 128 yards. Saquon Barkley had 26 carries, 205 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts had 7 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown. And Kenneth Gainwell had 1 carry for 10 yards. Dallas Goedert had 4 receptions, 56 yards. Saquon Barkley had 4 receptions for 27 yards. Devonta Smith had 4 receptions for 21 yards. A.J. Brown had 2 receptions for 14 yards. And Kenneth Gainwell had 1 reception for 10 yards. And then we had the Bills and the Ravens. This game was super close. We had Lamar Jackson complete 18 passes out of 25 attempts, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a interception. Derrick Henry had 16 carries, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Justice Hill had 6 carries for 50 yards. Lamar Jackson had 6 carries for 39 yards. And Mark Andrews had 2 carries for 3 yards. Isaiah Likely had 4 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Rashad Bateman had 4 receptions, 66 yards, and a touchdown. Mark Andrews had 5 receptions, 61 yards. We had Tylan Wallace with 1 reception for 27 yards. Anthony Miller with 1 reception for 16 yards. Justice Hill with 2 receptions for 7 yards. And Steven Sims with 1 reception for 4 yards. Josh Allen completed 16 passes out of 22 attempts for 127 yards. James Cook had 17 carries, 67 yards. We had Ty Johnson with 5 carries for, 31 yards? Yeah. Ray Davis had 4 carries, 29 yards, and a touchdown. And Josh Allen had 10 carries, 20 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Khalil Shakir had 6 receptions for 67 yards. James Cook had 3 receptions for 15 yards. Mac Hollins had 1 reception for 12 yards. Dalton Kincaid had 1 reception for 11 yards. Curtis Samuel had 2 receptions for 9 yards. Ty Johnson had 1 reception for 8 yards. Keon Coleman had 1 reception for 5 yards. And Dawson Knox had a reception but didn't get anything out of it. And like I said, pretty good week here. We had a whole bunch of interceptions from the Lions game, 4 total, but 3 of them were from the boy Jared Goff. There was a pick 6 in that game, which was pretty nice to see. Taylor Rapp last night got a interception off of Lamar Jackson. I actually watched a lot of that game live. I was going to do a live stream for it, but a whole bunch of things happened all at the same time, so I couldn't really get to do it for more than 10 minutes or 15 minutes like that. But now next week, well, this upcoming week I should say, we'll have the Commanders and Eagles and Bills and Chiefs for the AFC and NFC championships. And honestly, that video for those predictions, that might even go up today. Never know. Um I'm going to try to do it for today, but if not, then it'll be out regularly tomorrow. But anyway, hope you guys like this video. Like, subscribe, comment, do really whatever you want to do. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. See you around.